In this video, I'm going to show you the simplest way to lose fat in 2026 without dedicating your life to fitness. And this is the exact method that I use to lose 110 pounds and help people inside of my program lose weight. Now I'm going to show you what I would do if I wanted to lose weight, but more importantly, I'm going to show you what I wouldn't do because way too many people sabotage themselves by doing the wrong stuff on their fat loss journey. So the first thing you want to start off doing is to pretty much completely disregard anything and everything that you hear in the mainstream fitness industry, because the most these losers will ever tell you is to, quote, eat in a calorie deficit. Yeah, like, thanks a lot, Captain Obvious. If I want to lose weight, I've got to eat less. I know that. But the reason you shouldn't listen to them is because the advice that they hand out is mainly catered towards people who have a lot of time and energy to dedicate towards fitness and fat loss. So for example, one of the things they might recommend is going to the gym once per week to do just cardio. If you're anything like me, then going to the gym 2 to 3 times per week just to lift weights is difficult enough as it is because I'm so busy. So let alone the idea of going in just to do cardio, but we're going to talk more about cardio later. Really, what you want to do is adopt a minimalist's approach to fat loss. And the essence of this approach is to get the most results you can while doing as little work as you can. And before you think, oh yeah, here's another grifter selling a fitness shortcut, I've literally had people inside my minimalist fitness community lose as much as 10 pounds in 1 month following this exact approach. And the first step to this approach is to simply figure out what your bottleneck is. So a reason that a lot of you struggle to lose fat and keep it off is because you do way too much. New Year's coming up, and I know a lot of guys who are going to change their entire diet overnight and start going to the gym 6 times a week. And I'm going to tell you this. First of all, I don't do any of that. I go to the gym 3 days a week and eat dessert almost every night, and I'm currently in the best shape of my life. The second thing I'll tell you is that the guys who are going to the gym 6 times per week and changing their diet overnight starting January 1st are going to quit by the end of January because the changes that they're trying to make are too drastic. The problem is that you're way overestimating the amount of effort required for you to lose your first 10, 20, even 30 pounds. Because all you really need to do is this. Figure out the big obvious thing that's holding you back from losing weight and fix that one part of your lifestyle. Now, to give you an example of this, the guy inside my community who lost 10 pounds in 1 month, by the way, if you'd like to view his testimonial to prove that he was real, you can click the link in the description. So I was on a phone call with this guy trying to figure out why he couldn't lose weight, and he was stressed out of his mind about his movement. He thought he wasn't moving enough. And so I'm talking to him and he's like, yeah, bro, I just feel like I'm being lazy with my step count and I can do so much more, but I don't know what it is. I just can't get myself to do it, blah, blah, blah. Here's the crazy part. This guy was getting in 20,000 steps every day. He was a carpenter, so he was working a physical job. So movement and daily step count was not his problem at all. His actual bottleneck ended up being his diet. And so I figured this out when I asked him, hey man, so what do you eat on a day-to-day basis? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, if you don't know what you're eating on a daily basis, let's try to figure that out first. Since you're moving plenty, let's try to see what's going on the diet side of things. And I was like, you know what, bro? Let's forget everything else. And over the next week, let's just track what we eat, right? You don't have to eat less. You don't have to try to eat more. There's no specific foods that you have to try to eat. Let's just track what we're eating. And boom, 30 days later, this guy lost 10 pounds. Now, I've seen that story repeated so many times, it's sad. Because imagine if your car had a bad engine and you took it to the mechanic only to ask him to change the tires. The tires were never the problem, the engine was. Now, once you figure out what your bottleneck is, you've got to solve it. And the easiest way to do so would be to find and track metrics that are directly related to your bottleneck. Now in business, if you've taken any interest in it or if you've gone to business school, we've got something called a KPI, which is a key performance indicator. It's the one metric that we track above everything else to determine whether or not we're making progress. And it's no different for fat loss. You find one bottleneck that's stopping you, and then you find one metric to track in order to solve it. So for example, if your diet was the bottleneck, then a metric that you could track would be how often you're tracking your food or how often you're eating out. If it was movement, then you could track how often you go out for a walk and how long that walk lasts. Remember, solving just one bottleneck is all it takes to lose your first 10 to 30 pounds. And contrary to popular belief, you don't need to be tracking obsessively to see results. In fact, the way I set diets up for my clients makes losing fat effortless with almost no tracking required. And if you want to find out how that diet works, you can click and watch this video about my minimalist diet. And if you want to save all the time of watching my videos, then you can click the link below and join our community of minimalist fitness. I'll see you in the next one.